Hello everyone, this is Remlays from 40k Theories, and welcome to this new episode of 40k Lore for Newcomers. For this episode, nominated on Patreon by Amazing1985, we will be taking a brief look at the Blood Drinkers chapter of the Adeptus Astartes. This video will be a brief overview for certain events that may be explored in greater depth within additional videos in the future. So without further ado, let's begin.
Celebrate the blood. To deny the blood is to deny life. To deny life is to deny duty. To deny duty is to betray the Emperor. Betrayal is worse than damnation. Service has a price, and we willingly pay it.
The Blood Drinkers are a loyalist chapter of the Adeptus Astartes, descended from the highly revered and honoured Blood Angels Legion. Like all Space Marines, each member of the Blood Drinkers is a genetically augmented transhuman super soldier that is larger, stronger, and more resilient than a typical human. The exact foundings of the Blood Drinkers remains hotly debated, as while some scholars maintain that the chapter was established as part of an unknown founding, others state that the Blood Drinkers were created during the course of the second founding. Regardless, the Blood Drinkers are known to have been active since early M37. Like their primogenitors, the Blood Drinkers are a proud and noble chapter which specializes in close-range shock assault. However, much like the Blood Angels, the Blood Drinkers harbor a dark secret. Not only do the Blood Drinkers suffer from a number of physical and psychological flaws as a result of their gene seed, but unlike their fellow chapters of the Blood Drinkers find themselves balanced precariously upon a razor's edge, forever at risk of eternal damnation. Despite this, the Blood Drinkers have proven themselves to be stalwart and valiant defenders of humanity, and continue to serve the Imperium by unleashing the rage and fury gifted to them by their Primarch Sanguinius upon the enemies of man.
The right of blood given, and the right of blood taken.
Little is known with any degree of certainty regarding the exact origins of the Blood Drinkers due to the existence of multiple contradictory records. One of the earliest pieces of information known to exist about the Blood Drinkers is that around M37, the Blood Drinkers were described as a dying chapter. This was due to the intensity and severity of the chapter's gene seed flaws, which saw more and more battle brothers succumbing to the effects of the Black Rage and Red Thirst. This flaw would become so widespread and prevalent that even newly inducted aspirants would fall victim to the rage. It was around this time that a warrior named Holos would begin experiencing a series of dreams that beckoned him to journey to the peak of Mount Calicium, an extinct volcano located upon the chapter's homeworld of Sanguisaga. It was here, according to Holos' dreams, where a cure for the chapter's gene seed flaws could be found. When Holos relayed the details of his dream to the chapter council, he was instructed to disregard it and pay it no heed. After seeking counsel from the chapter's reclusiarch Shanandar, Holos would disobey the orders of the chapter council and set off on a journey to the top of Mount Calicium. During the course of his journey, Holos would do battle against vicious creatures known as the Astorgai, who would assail him again and again as he continued his ascent, tearing his armor to pieces and inflicting multiple wounds upon the Blood Drinker. Eventually, Holos would reach his destination, where he lay close to death. It was then that a winged being, which some believed to be a representation of the Primarch Sanguinius, would appear before Holos and rejuvenate him. This being would then offer Holos the secret behind keeping the first of the Blood Drinkers at bay, should the chapter simply dare to accept it. Several weeks later, Holos would return to his chapter's fortress monastery, where his battle brothers, who had believed Holos to be dead, would give him a hero's welcome. Holos would then reveal to his battle brothers what the winged being had told him, causing an event known as the Blood Schism, where the Blood Drinkers verged upon the brink of civil war. However, the chapter had grown desperate as more and more Battle Brothers succumbed to the flaw with each passing year. The chapter council would finally agree to the rites proposed by Holos, which involved not resisting the effects of the Red first, but actively embracing them instead. After the integration of these blood-drinking rites and rituals, the chapter would discover that they had attained a greater measure of control over their gene seed flaws. As a result of this, the blood drinkers would obtain a degree of peace and equilibrium that the other sons of Sanguinius could only dream of. In honor of his actions, Holos would become a saintly figure within the blood drinkers, with various murals and artworks dedicated to him being erected throughout the chapter's fortress monastery. Little did the blood drinkers realize, however, that Holos had in fact made a bargain with a demonic entity. In exchange for granting Holos knowledge of the rites that would spare many of the chapter's warriors from succumbing to the Black Rage, the demon was granted the power to alter the perception of those unfortunate souls that fall to this genetic curse. Instead of believing themselves to be their Primarch Sanguinius during the final hours of the Horus Heresy, a chosen few within the Death Company would be granted visions of Holos and the demon. The demon would then offer these chosen warriors the blessings of chaos. Should but one of their number even consider accepting the demon's offer, then the entire chapter will fall to damnation. 18 warriors have been extended the demon's gift so far, and all have refused. Today, the truth behind the Holosian rites are known only to the chapter's reclusiarchs, and it is by the spiritual robustness of these warriors that the blood drinkers continue to stand against the darkness.
For the Emperor and Sanguinius!
Over the course of their existence, the blood drinkers have fought valiantly within numerous theatres of war, such as the events of the Oculus Crusade, the Battle of Rimsworld, and fighting alongside the Blood Angels and their fellow successor chapters during the devastation of Baal. One of the Blood Drinkers' more notable exploits would be the chapter's cleansing of a Space Hulk known as the Death of Integrity. In 887 M39, the Death of Integrity would materialize into real space within close proximity of the world of Vol Secundus. This ancient amalgamation of starships had been previously documented at least twice before by Imperial forces, and both times the Hulk's manifestation had preceded the appearance of a Tyrannid Hive fleet. In response, the Blood Drinkers and Nova Marines chapters would dispatch the warriors of their first companies, assembling over 200 Terminators with which to cleanse the Death of Integrity. Shortly after boarding the Hulk, it would be confirmed that the Death of Integrity was utterly infested with Tyrannid infiltration organisms known as Gene Stealers, and the Astartes would begin a long and bloody campaign that lasted for several months. Despite suffering heavy losses, the Blood Drinkers and the Nova Marines would appear to purge the Space Hulk of Xenos infestation, with the Blood Drinkers in particular achieving a 50-to-1 kill-death ratio. However, Caedis, the chapter master of the Blood Drinkers, would eventually succumb to the effects of the Black Rage, appearing to transform into a bestial monstrosity. Despite the Hulk being confirmed as free of Xenos taint, some have claimed that the remaining Nova Marines and Blood Drinkers would be forced to flee as an unknown foe began to materialize throughout the Hulk. Regardless as to the truth of the matter, the Death of Integrity would once again vanish back into the depths of warp space. Despite the heavy losses that the Blood Drinkers and Nova Marines had sustained, it would transpire that the chapters had succeeded in recovering not only a fully intact standard template construct database, but countless other examples of ancient and fully intact technologies, which the Astartes would then bestow to the tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus. This act would earn the Blood Drinkers and Nova Marines the favour of the Mechanicus, and the chapters would also each be gifted a freshly commissioned strike cruiser for their chapter fleets as a token of goodwill and gratitude.
Treat them with honor, my brothers, not because they will bring us victory this day, but because their fate will one day be ours.
True to their name, the Battle Brothers of the Blood Drinkers will often partake in a number of rites that involve the consumption of blood. while few, if any, from outside the chapter's ranks have witnessed these sanguinary practices performed by the chapter's chaplains, it is commonly accepted that vast quantities of blood will be consumed, although the source of this blood remains unconfirmed. Some claim that the blood is drawn willingly from the chapter's warriors or from the carcasses of great beasts slain for the purpose of ritualistic bloodletting. Others, however, maintain that the blood consumed by the chapter's warriors comes from unwilling captives, such as prisoners of war or civilians from nearby settlements. Regardless, the blood drinkers will go to almost any length to ensure that the chapter's rituals remain hidden, even from their fellow Blood Angel successor chapters. Few can deny the effectiveness of these rituals, as this tradition of bloodletting and blood drinking has resulted in fewer and fewer battle brothers succumbing to the effects of the Black Rage. This in turn results in the death company of the blood drinkers being noticeably smaller than those maintained by their fellow chapters of the Blood. As a Blood Angel successor chapter, the blood drinkers display a number of physical and psychological flaws. The most prominent of these are the Red Thirst and the Black Rage. The Red Thirst instills the chapter's warriors with an intense craving for blood, which the blood drinkers have fully accepted, and no longer attempt to control or deny their vampiric urges. In conjunction with this flaw, the blood drinkers have also developed a set of retractable fangs in the place of their canines, which are known as eye teeth. The Black Rage is an intense psychological flaw which causes those who succumb to it to believe that they are their Primarch Sanguinius during the final hours of the Horus Heresy. This in turn renders those afflicted with the Rage as little more than frothing berserkers, as they attempt to butcher all within their path, rendering them nigh uncontrollable. Only the chapter's chaplains are able to exhibit any semblance of control over these warriors. In addition, the Black Rage pushes a Space Marine's already incredible tolerance to pain to unprecedented levels, allowing them to continue fighting through almost any injury inflicted upon them. The gene seed of the blood drinkers also displays an additional, albeit relatively minor physical flaw when compared to their primogenitors, which results in the blood drinkers eventually developing an unnaturally dry epidermis. And that concludes this episode of 40k Lore for Newcomers. If you liked this video, consider supporting us on Patreon for more content. To those who are new to 40k, we hope you learned something. So leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.